What's up everybody, welcome to my channel, John's Daily Hustle. Today we're going to see how much damage did my 48-inch Bobcat walk-behind mower take on when I was doing the overgrown property, when I was brush cutting with it. You guys can go check that video out right there if you haven't seen it. But as you guys know, if you did see it, I did put this mower through some hell, and it definitely took some use and abuse. So today we're going to take a walk around on it, lift it up, finally look under it and see how bad the blades are. Because I know I hit some rocks, I cut some trees with it, I did all kinds of stuff with it. So as a disclaimer, this mower was in pretty bad shape to begin with before I put it through hell. When I bought it, it was in pretty rough shape. But it has definitely taken on some new damage since then. Real quick, before we get started in today's video, I want to know, do you guys have a mower that you have specifically for putting through some rough stuff, whether it's cutting overgrown properties or using as a brush cutter? I want to know, do you guys have a specific mower, or do you just do whatever you have to do to get it done? For starters, as you guys can see, it looks like I cut hay with it, as it's covered in, some pretty thick, just overgrown stuff from it just obviously flying up. Now, one of the first things I did have to address is I did end up getting a flat tire. This tire right here went flat, and as you guys know, those are actually two brand new tires on that. But I do believe it was either a small puncture hole, I wasn't able to find it, or it was actually just coming out of the bead. So I put some slime and some quick fix in it, and it seems to be holding air so far, but we'll see long term. I still haven't done the review of this video yet, or at least you guys still haven't seen it yet anyways. But as a little spoiler for that video, this is probably one of the best engines I've ever had on a lawnmower. It's just a little 14 horsepower Kawasaki motor on it, but that thing is very, very efficient and almost burns no gas at all. And it still starts first or second pull. Now, even going through that pretty thick stuff and being put through some use and abuse and being used in the rain and everything while we was there, just about the only thing that happened is obviously the air filter on it maybe got a little bit of brush and dust and stuff on it, so I'll just have to clean that off and it's good to go. There's no damage taken on the motor, so that's always good to know. I mean, you guys can pretty much just see all the little dust and flake and grass particles that came up in there, so you know that the air filter did suck up some, but I don't believe it actually made it to the motor, and if it did, this motor still runs absolutely perfectly. First thing I did notice, other than the flat tire, is we took some pretty serious damage right here with hitting stuff. Now, again, as a disclaimer, this deck was already pretty rusted out, because I do believe it did end up going in water at some point in its life, and it was already bent a little bit, but you guys can see I really bent it now, on both sides. There's that, and then here is that side, and that's pretty much from ramming all the thick stuff and the rocks and the trees and stuff. Again, you guys go check that video out. I linked it in the beginning, and I'll probably link it in the description of this video, as well as the comments possibly too, so you can see exactly what kind of hell did I put this mower through if you haven't seen it already. So since we're talking about the rust, the deck was pretty rusted as you guys can see, but since it took some beating, it's actually broke through the rust holes, and there's actually holes going straight through the deck now. And what I think is funny, like right here you guys can see where one of like the stalks or the little sticks of brush or branch, whatever you want to call it, that was growing up, actually poked through the deck right there, as you guys can see, pulling it completely out. Stuff like that was shot off and poked through. I'm actually really glad that didn't get thrown out and, poked into me or one of the other guys that was there. Again, I'm absolutely relentless on this mower, because this is exactly what I bought this mower for. It was originally bought to do the retention ponds and the ditches or inclines and hills and stuff that my zero-turn mower couldn't go on at the time. That's what this was bought for, so I really didn't care exactly what happened to it. Plus, if I really wanted to, I could always, fabricate a little piece of steel plate and weld it on the front of there to try and strengthen it again if I really wanted to. But you guys are going to see in a later video, I don't think we're going to do that. Now for the fun part, we got it lifted up. Let's see the blades. As I'm almost positive that these blades are probably bent and probably missing huge chunks in it, because I hit a lot of stuff with it. And they're just regular high lift blades. They're actually Skag blades on this mower, but they're the regular Skag high lift blades. So they're not anything special, and they definitely weren't designed to do what I did with this. Well, at first glance, the blades actually don't look terrible. None of them are actually bent at all, as you guys can see there. They obviously did wrap a bunch of stuff around them, which was expected. And oh yeah, we actually hit something wire out there. As you guys can see, we had some wire that got wrapped around this blade, and it was actually sticking all the way out and was slamming against the discharge chute there, and was still wrapping around it, and we were able to just cut it and get it out and continue mowing. So the entire time we were still using this part was actually dragging against the stuff, and this mower still just kept on chugging along. And for example, like right here, you can see a little spot that's bent, but for the most part, they're not really bad. You know, the blades themselves are all straight. They're not curved or bent down or up or anything. Some of them are missing huge chunks out of it like that. That right there was absolutely expected. I'm actually really surprised that more of the blade isn't missing and it's just little chunks like that. And of course, as you can expect, there is all kinds of buildup underneath here because it was pretty wet, and again, it was pretty thick. So that buildup was absolutely expected, but I really expected it to be a lot worse, especially the blades. But again, going back to the deck, you guys can see that there was a pretty big break right here. Now we can, again, take a hammer, bang this part back out, and bang this in and weld it back and fix it, and you know, it'll be a little bit better than what it looks like now, but I'm really not too worried about it. The funny thing about this mower, I have actually already used it to mow my personal yard anyways, just trying to burn some of that gas that's in it. I used it to mow my own personal yard since that time with it in this exact condition, with the blades being rough, with the deck being broken, and it still cuts just as good as it did before all that damage happened on it. So I'm very impressed with the way it cuts. Let's actually take a look at the belts under here. I want to show you guys something funny, or at least I think it's kind of entertaining anyways, on how long these belts have lasted. Alright, so I got the cover off. You guys can see all the buildup that had happened inside of here. You know, it built up all that hay and heavy stuff. I want you guys to see this belt. So it has two belts. It's got the main belt that runs from the flywheel that powers this, and then it has the secondary belt, I guess you can call it here, that actually makes the three blades spin. Now, I know for a fact this got jammed up, especially when we hit the rock and especially when we got the wire stuck underneath it. And this continues to spin. That's one thing about this, it does not stop. It will continue to spin. So as you guys can see, it ate up the belt pretty good, especially right here. It chewed this belt up, and I mean, there's just section after section of it that had been chewed up pretty good, like even that one right there. But for the most part, this belt isn't actually that bad. However, this belt has been horrible since the day I got it. I mean, look at this section right here. It's just barely hanging on, and that right there is getting chewed up pretty good. There's another one, but I'd say this section right here is probably the worst. Now, there's actually a section on this belt somewhere where it's just holding on by that little thread like that, but is missing that much of it. Let me see if I can find it. Here's a good section to show you guys. Now that belt has been like that since the day I bought this mower. I know it needed a new belt, I just haven't really done anything with it. As trying to find parts for it's a little bit harder because it is a much older mower, as well as I also haven't cared that much since then. I figured I'm gonna run it until it absolutely breaks and then I'll replace it. And that's staying pretty true even now. I ran it through some pretty thick stuff, as you guys see, and I even got it clogged up, and I mean, I smoked that belt. It's still holding on somehow. So all in all, I've got to say that's really not bad considering what I put that through and how bad of stuff I ran over and hit rocks and everything else with it. It's not really in that bad of shape. Like I said, the deck was already messed up to begin with before I did it. Now, yeah, I did do quite a good bit of carnage to it since then, but it's really not bad, and it still cuts absolutely great. The blades will absolutely need to be taken off and sharpened and cleaned underneath the deck. And then other than really that belt being damaged just a little bit more, that, like I said, that belt was already damaged before that. Probably the main thing that bothers me actually is the flat tire, because those are two brand new tires and we punctured it, even though it already had slime and stuff in it, but I just put more in it and it seems to be holding now. But other than that, it still runs perfectly fine. Now I'm going to say again, you guys are going to see a video here in the future, if you haven't already seen it now, on what the future of this mower is for my channel and for my business. I do have a couple of different ideas as to what I might want to do with it, but I'm not entirely sure yet. So once I figure that out, then I'm going to make the video if it hasn't already been uploaded yet. Let me know what you guys think. Did y'all guys expect it to look a lot worse than that? Did y'all expect it to have more damage than that? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hey, before we end this video, go check out either that video or that video right there. You guys might really enjoy one of those two videos. So go check it out and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And please give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, thank y'all for watching.